Welcome back to New Day Northwest. Did you know that dahlias are one of the most loved flowers, and right now it is prime dahlia blooming time. And for tips on how to keep the blooms going, that's what Master Gardener Ciscoe Morris is for. Hey there, Ciscoe.
Hey, hi.
All right, before we get started, I have to ask, did you take any of these from Mary?
Well, maybe only a couple. We don't want to talk about that part.
We've talked about this. Mary is going to come down here. You took her dahlias. These are gorgeous, by the way.
And you know, the thing about dahlias, they make such great bouquets.
They really do. So maybe you should take these back to her and say, I'm sorry, I cut your flowers.
I may have to. Yeah, you know, little things like not noticing the sheets are on the line when you turn on the oscillating sprinkler. I mean, anybody can do that.
Oh,
so
Mary.
these come in handy for that.
So I have to ask you, they are so beautiful, and I've never tried to grow them because I'm worried they look high maintenance to me. Are they high maintenance plants?
They're really not high maintenance, but
Okay.
there are a couple things you gotta do, you
All
know.
right, well, when you say that, I worry. So let's get into it. So do they need like full sun to bloom? What do they need? Okay.
Yeah, you gotta give these full sun. They will not bloom in the shade.
Okay. Ooh,
So,
okay. Good to
yep.
know. And are they drought tolerant, or do they need a lot of water?
They need a lot of water. That's one thing
They need
about
their
them.
water. Okay.
Like some of these, this one here, this thing just wilts.
Oh, really?
In the hot sun, it just wilts, but I give it one squirt a day.
And it comes back?
Just pops right back and produces
that's nice.
flowers like a wild banshee.
Like a wild banshee dahlia. It's my kind. They should actually name it that. Let's talk fertilizer. What is the best food for them?
Okay, so there's two fertilizers you use. So if you're going to use an organic fertilizer, which is what I always do, the tomato food is perfect.
Tomato
for
food works
these.
for dahlias.
It works real good. Because it's made to make lots of flowers happen and then fruit, but you know, we're not after fruit, but make some flower. But alfalfa meal, which I couldn't find in the box I wanted to bring down here to show, alfalfa meal, you put that around the plant. So you use 2 cups around an average size dahlia, and then you add the amount they tell you to do on the fertilizer thing. And there's one thing, you got to scratch it in. This is my scratching machine, and you can make it longer, shorter. You don't
get
have
down
to,
in there under the plant.
And look at this, it's got a back scratcher. So if you're itchy, you could just.
Also, it is a good home protection device.
That is true, I'll tell you what.
So, okay, the one thing I always feel like I mess up at, and you always help keep me on track, is when to deadhead something. So when these do eventually die, actually, first question, how long do they bloom for?
Well, each bloom lasts only a couple of days, generally, maybe 3 or 4.
All right, and
Depends.
so then do you immediately deadhead them, or what do you do?
Yeah, you know, the more bouquets you make, the more flowers they pump out. You don't want to let them go too long without deadheading. So people are always asking me, how do I know what to deadhead when you see this?
Yeah.
So any of them with a point, those are the ones
that have already bloomed?
Yeah, and so you could cut that off way down there.
Oh, you cut it down there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so these are going to bloom.
These are blooming because they're little buds.
Yep.
But this one I would deadhead.
Yeah, round you leave, that you got to deadhead.
Okay.
All the way down. And you know what? A lot of people just go, what the heck, I'm going to deadhead it way down here. Because the more you deadhead, the more they just keep pumping out flowers as long as you keep them fertilized. I fertilize every 6 weeks.
Every 6 weeks, okay.
Yeah.
That's really fascinating, and it's good to know. And can you just quickly explain why it is important to cut this down here? I know some plants like roses, you have to cut them near a notch, but this is what really keeps the water from going where it's not supposed to.
Yeah,
right?
So it's best to, cut off all these stubs. A little stub like that doesn't matter too much on these. But on a lot of plants, if you leave a stub and there's nothing to make the food and water go up and down, it can get a disease.
Oh. Speaking of diseases, some of the dahlias do develop that powdery mildew. Is there a way to cure it?
And you know what? Never grow a dahlia in a pot.
Oh.
You grow it in a pot, they don't
It'll
get
turn
enough,
into a gremlin.
They don't get enough water, I think.
Okay,
And they get
all right.
powdery mildew, and it's same in your garden if you're not watering them enough. And but there's a quick recipe you can make, and I think I might have forgot to put that in the notes.
Well, you know what? The good news is we can put it online.
Good. All right, we'll do that.
We'll put it on the website so you can all learn the secret cure to the powdery mildew. Ciscoe, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
All right, we'll get these nicely wrapped up for Mary so we can apologize for all the things we've stolen from her garden.